Have you ever felt like you're playing by a set of rules you didn't even write? Well, we're about to dive into this really fascinating idea that we're all living by one of two fundamental laws. One of them is a personal law we literally build for ourselves, brick by brick. And the other, it's eternal, it's universal. This is a journey from the prison of the ego to the freedom of unity. Just let that sink in for a minute. It's a pretty radical idea, isn't it? This concept that all the division and conflict we see out there, that whole me versus you mindset, isn't some fundamental truth of the universe. No, it's a personal law that each and every one of us builds for ourselves, which kind of means we're the architects of our own separation.
So what is this cosmic conflict, really? Well, it boils down to a choice we're always making between two totally competing ways of being. It's a struggle that's happening inside of us and all around us, all the time.
So on one side, you've got the egoic law. Its whole game is divide, bind, and rule. This is the world of possessions, of mine versus yours, where we're constantly creating separation and, conflict. But on the other side, you have the divine law. Its only purpose is to unify. It's built on a foundation of total equality, a universal sense of family and selfless love. In that reality, there's no mine, there's just a connection to the whole.
Okay, but hold on. If we're the ones creating this egoic law, how in the world does it end up trapping us? It's a good question. Let's take a look at the actual mechanics of this prison we build for ourselves.
All right, here's a concept that might just bend your brain a little. We don't actually see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. The reality you and I experience every day, it's really just a reflection of our own inner state. We think we're looking through a perfectly clear window, but we're actually staring through a lens that we've been crafting our entire lives. And that lens, that filter, the source material calls it our plasma or our aura. A great way to think about it is like your own personal atmosphere, or maybe a life film that's just constantly recording every single thought, feeling, and action you have. And this film isn't just a filter you look through, it becomes the very fabric of your personal reality. And this is the consequence. See, the text talks about this divine stream of the all, this infinite flowing river of life. But when we operate from our ego, it's like we make a choice to climb right out of that beautiful stream and just sit on the bank. And what do we find when we get there? Nothing but a reflection of ourselves.
Living in this ego world basically creates the ultimate echo chamber. You think you're interacting with the world, but you're not. You're just interacting with your own projections. You end up seeing yourself everywhere, and you attract people who are just like you, which just reinforces the whole cycle and keeps you completely trapped.
So, if we're stuck in a reality we made ourselves, how do we get out? Well, the key isn't just knowing the truth, it's about living it. And that is where the incredible power of actualization comes in.
The Source makes this really powerful distinction between an empty word and a fulfilled word. An empty word is just an idea. You can talk about peace all you want, but if your heart is a battlefield, that word is just a hollow shell. A fulfilled word, though, that's got real power. Why? Because it's been lived, it's been actualized, it's filled with that divine stream we were talking about, and it literally radiates from you.
And, of course, this leads us to the most important question of all. It's one thing to get all this in your head, but how do you actually put it into practice? How do we go from just talking about the divine law to truly living it?
The path laid out here is actually a really practical daily thing. First, you have to start recognizing your own ego patterns, your negative habits as they happen. Then, step 2, you have to make a conscious choice, right then and there, to stop. The third step is transformation. You actively work to turn that negative energy into positive, divine energy. And finally, you transmit that purified energy back into the eternal stream, becoming a force for good. So after all that hard work, what's the payoff? What's the destination? What does it actually feel like to live in that state of unity, totally immersed in that divine stream? The goal is to become what's called an awakened one. And look, this isn't about being perfect. Not at all. It's about living your life immersed in a stream of love. An awakened person starts to see with spiritual eyes. They can feel the deeper truths in themselves and in other people. They communicate from a place of real, genuine connection to the divine.
But here's the catch. These two ways of being, they see each other very, very differently. To someone who's totally focused on the material world, an awakened person can seem weird, maybe even uncanny. Their whole vibe can feel like a challenge. But the awakened person, they see with clarity. They understand the unawakened person, all while staying totally centered in their own being.
This leads to a really powerful shift in perspective. All this work, it's not about buildings or rituals. The focus is completely internal. Your own body becomes the sacred space. It is the inner temple where the divine actually lives.
This whole path, it requires a pretty profound sense of self-respect. Because once you start to see yourself as a sacred temple, the most natural thing in the world is to take care of it, right? To cleanse it of all the negativity and to keep it clean. That right there, that's the real work.
Okay, now let's get super practical. We're going to explore a metaphor that grounds all of these spiritual ideas right into our physical body and turns it into a kind of cosmic antenna. And it all starts with something that seems almost too simple, your posture. The way we physically hold ourselves has a direct impact on our spiritual state. Leaning on things all the time, a wall, a desk, whatever, is said to show a lack of inner strength. I know this is a lot of text, but the man metaphor is so simple and powerful. Just think of your body as an antenna for divine energy. Now, what happens when you bend an old TV antenna? You get static, right? Or no signal at all. It's the exact same idea here. A curved spine or crossing your arms and legs, that's like putting a kink in the antenna. It blocks the flow. But a straight, upright spine, that's a perfectly tuned receiver.
So, the takeaway is simple. Posture is literally power. When you stand upright, you're connecting yourself to cosmic power. Slouching gives you poor reception. Crossing your limbs blocks the flow. Even the way you walk matters. A heavy, dragging walk keeps your eyes and your energy on the ground, radiating a low vibration. You see? It's all connected.
And this all leads us to one final profound idea. The whole point of this entire journey, from understanding the ego all the way to fixing your posture, is to realize a fundamental truth. You are not just a separate little piece of the universe. You are the entire universe in miniature. You are the compressed all. So the final question is this: what would change in your life today if you truly lived from that knowledge?